Have you ever thought about using LinkedIn to actually generate leads and customers for your own business, but didn't know where to start? Have you heard names like Gary Vee mentioning about LinkedIn being the actual platform for 2019, but didn't know what kind of strategy you should approach? Well, in this interview, I have Scott Aaron, and he's a best-selling author of LinkedIn for Network Marketing. But it's important to understand that his book actually applies to any industry or any niche or niche that you've been into or you've heard of, or whatever the situation may be. Trust me, all the information that he shares with us in this interview about how you can optimize your LinkedIn profile, how you can actually connect to people that are more likely to convert into actual leads and customers, and a bunch of other things. So you want to stick around, and let's jump right into the interview. Welcome to High-End Client Acquisition Podcast. My name is Marian. I'm your host, and this show is here to teach you how to attract your dream clients on autopilot in 30 days or less. Each week, I bring you a guest or a strategy that can help you take your business to the next level. Don't forget, you can always get the episodes in your inbox or messenger.
Scott, brother, first of all, I want to say thank you so much. I'm stoked to have you on our podcast. For all the listeners that may not be familiar with you, if they're not followers of your brand on LinkedIn or any other platform, can you give us, I would say, a short version of your story, just your story in a nutshell?
It's well, first, I'm honored to be a part of this, and it's a privilege. And just thank you so much for allowing me to share my story, share what I'm passionate about with your audience. I always do my best to bring as much valuable to the marketplace and to every podcast that I come on. So thank you so much for having me today.
Sure, bro.
As far as my story, it's a very, very unorthodox story of entrepreneurship. So without getting, not to elongate the story, but just to, basically how I got into entrepreneurship. I was 18 and a half going on 19. I was a sophomore in college, and I was just a fun-loving hippie. I traveled around the country listening to music, a band called Fish, and went to school, basically just to socialize. That was kind of like what I did as a normal teenager. And I was faced with my first of many challenges in my life when my father, who was a third generation entrepreneur, I'm a fourth generation entrepreneur. My great grandfather came over from Eastern Europe and became a butcher in South Philadelphia. My grandfather followed suit and became a pharmacist and had his own pharmacy. And my father was in the industrial entrepreneurship arena, various businesses, and now myself as a entrepreneurial business and growth strategist on social media. So you can obviously see from 1920 until 2019, 100 years. Going from a butcher to a social media strategist, business has definitely changed. So
it's a fun journey, I bet.
It is. And, so my father made some poor business decisions when I was 18 going on 19 that landed him in federal prison for 2.5 years. And this was actually where my journey in entrepreneurship began, because in between him getting sentenced and leaving to going away, he had actually purchased, with the help of two of my grandfathers, our first health club, a gym in downtown Philadelphia. So when my dad went away, he basically said, Scott, here are the keys. You are now the man of the house, and you are now the owner of this health club. I had never run a gym. I wasn't even into lifting. I played sports, but I was not what you would call a gym rat by any means. I was 135 pounds soaking wet. And I was thrown into the fire. I was literally thrown to the wolves. And I always share with people that, you're always dealt hands in life, and you can either hold them or fold them. And I haven't folded a hand yet. So that's how I got my first taste of entrepreneurship. I grew the gym successfully in the 2.5 years when my dad was away. I became a certified personal trainer and sports nutritionist. So I was growing a really good book of business. My father came back. One gym turned into two gyms. And then we sold them both in 2003 for $1 million. So at 24 years old, I became a millionaire.
Oh.
And I just focused on my personal training business at that time. And in 2004, my father got the itch to open up another gym on the outside of Philadelphia, which we did. And through bad investments and funding of the gym that was obviously attached to my name legally, since my dad obviously had no credit from his past, I found myself personally liable for $1.5 million of debt to my name with this business. So in the matter of 2.5 years, I went from a millionaire to actually negative $1.5 million. So again, I was dealt with another hand. I didn't fold it. I kept going. I grew more successful with my personal training, grew the new gym, eventually crawled my way out of that hole. But I found myself now, by the end of that, in 2014, almost 10 years later, twice divorced, and now facing another financial situation that I uncovered in 2014 into 2015, that tied back to me being a personal guarantor on the lease of my gym. For anyone that doesn't know what that means, if something happens to the gym or your business, whoever's the personal guarantor takes over or is financially responsible for the income that's left on it, which was close to $500,000. And at this point, I said to my father, I called him into my office and I said, you know what, Dad, it's best if we part ways, because this is not working and you're going to need to find somewhere else to personal train. He didn't argue, didn't put up a fight, packed his bag, he left and he never came back. And we actually did not speak for about 1.5 years. And that was really, really painful for me, because my father was my mentor. He was my hero. He was the one that I went to when I had problems. He was my baseball coach, my basketball coach. He was everything. But I needed to go through this myself, because I had to emotionally mature myself, not only in my personal life, but my professional life. I started doing network marketing in 2013, which gave me more of the entrepreneurial bug. And I started to grow massive amounts of residual income within 2 years, started to cut back on the personal training. And I found myself getting bored of what everyone was doing on Facebook and Instagram, and started really plugging away at LinkedIn. And in the beginning of 2016, I started helping people with a methodology that I would later then turn into a best-selling book, but also a trademark and license program of teaching entrepreneurs and online business owners how to structurally and specifically use LinkedIn to grow their business and their bank accounts. So in 2016, I was faced with one last decision. The gym was failing. It was losing about $2,000 to $3,000 a month. I had just come out of my second divorce. I was now a father from that second marriage. And I had a lot of things to think about. My future, my son's future, my future family's future, just to name a few. And I was sitting in my lawyer's office and I said, listen, I need to make a decision. And he said to me, well, you have two choices. You can either continue down the track that you're going, continue losing thousands of dollars a month, and eventually have to close the gym. But since you're personally liable, option 2 would be file for personal bankruptcy. Now, when people hear the word bankruptcy, they hear my life is over. I heard my life is just beginning. Because what I realized at that moment, Marian, is that I was actually carrying the weight of my father's dream for the last 18 years. So my lawyer said, listen, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being a slam dunk, 1 being don't do it, you're a 9.5. So on July 1st of 2016, I filed for personal bankruptcy, closed the door to my gym July 31st, and I never went back. Now, everything has been fine. My credit is more than repaired. It's back over 700. And that actually gave me the ability, when I woke up on August 1st, not having my gym, I can't express to you how much lighter everything felt. Like the weight of the world was off my shoulders for the first time in 18 years. And only in the last 3+ years have I really truly been able to now step into my power and teach entrepreneurs, network marketers, online business owners what I'm truly passionate about, which is using the power of LinkedIn through simple strategies to create massive results for their business, their brands, and make the impact that they're really looking to on all those people around them.
Wow, that's a hell of a story. Thank you for sharing all, the small little things. And I'm sure like now when you remember, of course, it's a relief, but in the same time, I'm pretty sure time to time you look back and you think like how all these things kind of played together to get to a point where, even though, like you mentioned, some people may say, oh, that's the end of my life. You saw it as a new beginning and you knew how to approach it in a way that actually gave you the whole power to start all over again and start in something that you're passionate about. And yeah, I love that. But one thing that I want to ask you, why LinkedIn? First of all, and then of course we'll get into more.
Yeah, no, it's a phenomenal question. So my mom always told me as a kid, and she still does, is that facts are friendly. And you can't argue facts. So my book, my trainings, my presentations are all based off of facts. So I love numbers and I love figuring out business avatars. I love figuring out where to build your brand to get the most organic result, because everyone's paying to play on all these platforms, which is fine. But I still know that you can still play for free and get even better or just the same results as someone spending $10,000 to $15,000 a month on Facebook ads. So Marian, you have to understand that energetically and emotionally, I'm driven by connection. I put in close to 65,000 hours of one-on-one, face-to-face, physical, personal training time in my career. So it's ingrained in me to want to create relationships with people. And I found the platforms of Facebook and Instagram desensitizing me. I was posting and praying, scrolling and trolling, and I really wasn't making those connections that I wanted to with people. And then I understood why. And there's 3 things that I tell people that they need to look at when deciding where they need to build their business and their brand on social media. The age demographics, the income that those people make, and the size of the organic unpaid network that you can grow. Facebook and Instagram are the same because they're owned by the same company on Facebook. The average age is 18 to 29 with a yearly income of $30,000 a year or less, and you're only allowed 5,000 friends, so to speak. You cannot grow an empire of a business with 5,000 friends. You need a lot more than that. And then I looked at LinkedIn and I saw that the average age was 30 to 55, which is my demographic. People are making $100,000 a year or more, which also is my demographic, which means they have a better money mindset, which means they're going to be more open to doing business, exchanging business, getting on the phone and networking. And you're allowed 30,000 unpaid organic connections on LinkedIn. And when I saw that you're allowed 6 times more connections with people that are 3.5 times more wealthy than those on Facebook and Instagram, it just made sense. So when you want to up-level your business, your bank account, your impact, you have to go to a platform that supports that. And that is why I'm on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Now, let's take a step back for a second and let's say, so our audience is usually coaches, trainers, or, author, speaker type of industry, right?
Yeah.
Most likely they do have a LinkedIn account. But I would say up until probably 2016 moving forward, LinkedIn was not necessarily a content-driven platform. Am I wrong?
100%. And you hit the nail right on the head, because in 2016, LinkedIn was purchased by Microsoft. And that's when the game changed, because Microsoft saw this opportunity to do one thing that no other social media platform organically was doing. And that was to embed the technology of search engine optimization as a Google, Bing, or Yahoo onto the platform of a social media platform like LinkedIn. So what people have to understand, LinkedIn is a social networking site that is a organically driven SEO platform. So literally, it's a Google for social media. So optimizing your profile, optimizing your content, the way that you message people, and it is a content-driven platform. Now, I got on there very early. Lewis Howes, who I'm sure you're familiar with, has one of the number one podcasts in the world, The School of Greatness, got his start on LinkedIn because he wanted to connect with people like Richard Branson and Tony Robbins and Gary Vaynerchuk, who all hang out, quote unquote, on LinkedIn. All of the big thinkers and big doers are on platforms where all of those people are, and that's LinkedIn. So what people need to understand is that if you want yourself differentiated between everything else, you need to go to a platform that supports organic growth. And Gary Vee just recently said on a podcast that two things. Number one, he said 2019 is the year of LinkedIn because it is the most organically driven content out there right now. And number two, he said what LinkedIn is right now is what Facebook was 5 to 7 years ago. And again, it's not too late to get on there. They're in the beta test phase right now of LinkedIn Live. So, and you want to talk about global impact. So any author that's listening to this, any speaker, any online coach, someone that has a mastermind, you want people connected to you and your mission and the value that you have for your business, and it needs to be on a platform that is ideal for that. And that's LinkedIn. But more so, no matter where you live in the world, your Facebook is always going to represent where you live or where you have lived. So if you're from the US, typically your friends on Facebook are all going to be from that place. But LinkedIn allows you to search and connect by city, by state, by province, or by country. So if you want to start developing relationships globally, you need to be on a social media platform that supports that. And the only one that does is LinkedIn.
No, that makes a lot of sense. What I feel sorry about is you kind of answered like two of my next questions up front. But anyway, let's step back for a second and help people understand, because you mentioned something really important, the fact that it's considered a social media platform. However, like when I Google my name, my LinkedIn profile, it's I think the second of the search right here on the first page of Google. So it's, of course, I know it's important to have it optimized, because if somebody's going on LinkedIn and my call to action on the banner says completely different than what my Instagram or my Facebook account says, it's, it can create a disconnect. But let's help people understand how they can optimize their account, their LinkedIn account, for that organic search, like how they can use those keywords. What is it? Is it just typical SEO? Can you give us some insights on that?
Yeah, there's two things that you need to do. And this is an exercise that I do with all my clients. So you grab a piece of paper and you draw a line down the middle. On the left-hand side of that piece of paper, you're going to write down all of the industries that you were a part of personally from a business standpoint. So for me, as an example, I would write down gym owner, sports nutritionist, personal trainer, group fitness instructor. So that starts to build out the business avatar. Now, underneath that, you also want to write down some of the industries or professions that are the best customer or person that would most likely buy your product or service. So in my case, underneath that, I would write professional network marketer, speaker, online coach, online trainer, podcast host, as an example. Now I have my business avatars. On the right-hand side of that piece of paper, you're going to write down the top 5 qualities that you require someone to have that you want as a customer, client, or business partner. Coachable, driven, motivated, inspired, self-starter, as an example. Typically, when you go through this exercise, those 5 things that you write down are the exact way that you see yourself. And why you want to go through this exercise is what people need to understand. You're always looking for you. You're looking to connect with the mirror image of yourself. So now you have the qualities of how you see yourself. And on the left-hand side, you have the whole business avatar there. So you take those keywords, you put them all throughout your profile in the various sections, in your headline, in your summary, in the experience section, in the skills and endorsements, in the recommendations, and even in the groups that you join. So it's flooded with the right types of people. Then when you search and connect for those business avatars, people are going to look at your profile and it's going to say, makes sense why this person wants to connect with me. They're just like me. You are looking to connect, speak, and build a relationship with the person that you're looking back at the mirror every single day, and that's yourself.
No, I love the way that you explain it. And I think it makes so much sense, specifically when you try to optimize it. And that's super powerful. Now, from a content creation standpoint, what's the strategy that somebody should look at, right? Because of course we need to treat every platform for what it represents and what they can bring to the table. Because I see a lot of people, even now, today I had 3 or 4 direct messages of just literally without knowing them or without ever talking to that person at all, sending me a link to, book a call without even building that relationship. Or I see other people just posting, if you want to work with us, click this link or whatever, right? Without building any sort of value up front, and just, I would say it's just a spammy way, right? You see that on all kind of platforms. Now, because LinkedIn is more business oriented, I think some people just see it wrong. But what do you think is the right type of strategy? If we can go really into tactics, we know that we need to build value, but from your perspective, somebody that's, let's say, an author or a coach or a sales trainer or something of this kind of niche, how they should treat their content strategy.
No, it's beautiful. So there's 2 things that you can do, and you kind of touched on them. So there's 2 aspects to LinkedIn. There's the content that you put out, posting, writing articles, doing videos, discussions in groups. That's one section. And the other section is the content that you actually say to someone in a message. And what you're speaking about is those drunkalogs that people message us, book a call with me here, check out this video from CNBC and blah, blah. They're vomiting all over you in your inbox, and I've never even spoken to you before. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over the structure of how you should actually message someone. And then I'm going to teach you very quickly how to come up with some amazing content to push out on LinkedIn. So number 1, if you're going to message someone, there's a 3-part process. The first part is the obvious, stating the person's name. I know this sounds so common sense, but when you personalize a message to someone, they feel like they're being spoken to, and that's what you want to do. So, hey, Marian, it's great to be connected to you. That's all you have to say. Then the body of the message, the reason for reaching out without selling them. I saw that you're also a podcast host, would love to hear more about it and share more about mine. That's my reason for reaching out. Then you finish with a call to action. Would you happen to have any time this or next week to hop on a call to talk more about what we're doing and if there's a way where we can help each other together? You finish with a call to action, with a question, because questions lead to answers. State their name, reason for reaching out, call to action, and that is the simple way of how you can message someone. Make sense?
Yep.
Now, if you're going to provide content, going back to the exercise that I just took you guys through for your business avatar, no matter what platform, and you said it beautifully that people are treating each platform differently. And the way that you treat Facebook is different of how you treat Instagram and how you treat LinkedIn. But here's what you need to always do, no matter what platform you're on. You need to think about the end user in mind. Meaning, you don't want to post things that you want to post. You want to post things that would resonate if you were the listener, if you were the viewer. So if you have a business and you have a podcast and it's about inspiration, then your content should be built around the people that you've been connecting with. So you speak to them through a post, through a video, or an article. So everyone speaks looking down on people. You need to make sure that you always speak to people on eye level. And the way that I do that is bringing my own story to everything that I post. So today I was talking about pouring love and gratitude and positivity into the people that may need it most, and they may say they don't want it at all. So sometimes the people that don't want to be loved and they don't want to be positive, those are the ones that require it most. So you pour into them even more. So I shared a post today on social media about how I personally felt that I could not be loved. I was not very positive. I was in a dark place. So I'm making it very personal because a lot of people feel that they're going through life alone. So when you write very personal content that speaks to the audience, that's saying, man, Scott felt this way too, I can really resonate with that. Now your content is speaking to the person, so it's going to bring them closer to you without them ever getting on the phone with you. Then if you ever do message that person and you do it the way that I told you, they're going to be more open to getting on the phone to you because you're not selling and telling. You're doing more asking and listening. That's what it's all about. The person that asks the most questions is always going to get the most answers because most people are thinking too much and they're feeling too little. So the more that you feel and the less that you think, the more of an impact you're going to have with the content that you're putting out on all of social media, specifically LinkedIn.
I love it. No, it's super important, and I hope everybody's taking notes of you just said because it's super powerful. Now, let's move towards all right, we understood how we get connected to people. We understood what type of content people should create. What is the next step? What's the best way from that point on for people to actually generate leads, right? I see a lot of people just trying to, like you said, just vomit those book a call links and all those things into my inbox. But of course, everybody's just getting either blocked or removed from my connection list or whatever, right?
Right.
What do you think it's the best strategy to actually, what's the next step in that process to actually generate a lead?
Well, number one is not connecting with just anyone. Connecting with someone that you actually have relatability with. Because the greatest way to connect two people that don't know each other is through related pain. Because pain is a connection. When you can share a story of something painful that you've been through. So if I was connecting with another personal trainer and I was sharing, the pain of if I got sick or injured, I wouldn't make money, or when a client canceled, I didn't make any money, or if they canceled or they went on vacation, whatever it was, that is a relatable pain. So there is a system to this. So making sure that number one, your profile is optimized, we went over that. 2, 2, you define your avatar. We went over that. 3, you search and connect for the people that you would most likely have a great conversation with. Most people are just talking to the wrong individuals. I am not going to connect with an accountant or a doctor because I've never done either of those. So I have no business talking to someone that I can't bring a relationship to. So make sure that you are connecting with people that you can have a shared conversation with. So if you start connecting with the right kind of people, they start accepting your connections, you start messaging the right way, then you get them on the phone. Now, people always say, now what? What do I do when I get them on the phone? So here's a very, very simple way to structure a phone call, but you got to fill in the blanks. So as soon as you get someone on the phone, you turn it right over to them. Marian, great to connect. Tell me a little bit about what you do. You make it about that person. Within the first 30 seconds, you want them talking about themselves because people love being listened to and they really do love talking about themselves. So it's always their story first, your story second, your passion, your aha moment, and would you like to learn more? You're never trying to sell someone on the first call. You always want to pique their interest as the call goes on. So at the end, you really have a 50-50 shot. They're going to say, you know what? I'm not interested, but thanks for the call. You can then ask for referrals. Or they say, you know what? Yeah, I am interested. I'd love to hear more about what you do. Great. Let me send you an email and let's book a follow-up call. You want these relationships to marinate. You don't want to pressure people. You don't want to push them. You don't want to back them into a corner. Give them space to breathe. Let them do their research. Let them consume more of you before you get them back on the phone. Then when you get them back on the phone, they feel like they know you even more. And now basically you've got a 25% shot of doing some business. They're going to say yes. They're going to say no. They're going to reschedule or cancel because they're too busy building a shed for their kids in the backyard. Or they're going to ghost you, which happens all the time. So the law of numbers are always in your favor, but there's a reason why I have this mindset. One book, it's called Go for No. It's written by Andrea Waltz and Richard Fenton. That book single-handedly changed my mindset about not only just sales, not only about being a business owner, but connecting with people and understanding that yes is the destination, but no is the journey. The person that collects the most no's is also going to collect the most yeses because they're going to be willing to speak to the most people. So if you're listening to this and you want to win, you have to be willing to do more than most, because the people that do more are the people that get more.
I love that. No, you touch on some real powerful strategies. No, and you gave some specific strategies that I hope people really understand. The fact that you're not just trying to book a sales call, you really try to book a conversational type of call so you can connect to people like a real connection. And then if they'll like to talk more, like, I think this is so brilliant because I don't think, like, to be honest, every call that I was invited on from LinkedIn, I don't think anybody did this. And now thinking back, that would have been such a smart, like, regardless of the thing, like, for example, yesterday I got pitched by 2 people for me to invite them on the podcast, right? But if they would have booked the way that you just said it, if they would have booked a 15-minute call just to connect with me and maybe say a few things or whatever, and then from that ask me if I would like to be if I like to invite him or whatever, not necessarily like being a guest on a podcast. I guess it's not such a huge sell from their perspective, I guess. But this is so smart and it's so powerful, and I hope people are taking notes because this is super important. So, did you want to say something right there?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I want to touch on is that in this day and age, I'm going to go back to people being socially desensitized. Everyone's trying to build out funnels. Everyone's trying to build email lists. What happened to talking to people? The best way to create sales is talking to a human being. Everyone is trying to go away from what the best salespeople, the best coaches, the best business builders do, which is building relationships. The best business people are the best relationship builders. So when you can focus more on getting in the trenches and doing more than most, like I said, you're going to be the best business builder, the best relationship builder, and you're going to have the best business because of that. I know it sounds so simple, but everyone gets really pulled into so many different directions with all the shiny objects out there. I'm going to build out this funnel and this tripwire and this click through. And that's great if you want to build an email list. But for me, I want names written in my calendar of human beings that I'm actually able to hear their voice on the other end of a phone call or on a Zoom. So that's just me. And if you really want to build a better book of business, you get in the trenches and you don't get out.
I love it, brother. This is super powerful. So I think a lot of people are not even aware. I'm moving away a little bit towards a more tactical question. I think a lot of people don't know that LinkedIn also has a page capability. So the way that a business page sort of say, right? Like, for example, the way that Facebook, I think that's the easiest way to explain it. The way that Facebook works in you having the Facebook profile and you also having your Facebook business page or brand page, or whatever, if you're a local business, your local store, the place that you actually run ads from. Now, the way that LinkedIn is working, basically, like, you can still post articles from your profile and you can still post a lot of content, and they're not against, like, as opposed to Facebook, LinkedIn is not against of you creating business content on your profile.
Correct.
And they actually love that. They even just launched the LinkedIn Live, as you mentioned at the beginning, still being in
beta test.
But can you give a strategy on, all right, like, let's separate Facebook, LinkedIn profile and the LinkedIn page. Should we just use it from an advertising standpoint? Should we just run ads from the LinkedIn page without trying to build that out versus just building the connection itself? Like, what's your thought on that?
Yeah, building the connection on your personal page. LinkedIn probably has the worst cost per click on ads on social media. I mean, Gary Vee talks about it all the time. Facebook and Instagram still have the lowest cost per click. You do not, and I repeat, you do not want to run ads on LinkedIn. Everyone pays for Sales Navigator. They pay for premium. My book, what I do is all based on the free version, and it still is. I have not spent $1 on LinkedIn, and no one else has to. Now, can you create a business profile for maybe your business or your brand? Yes, and you can drive traffic to it. You can tag your business in that. But I always suggest people, the easiest way to build a business and a brand, you are the business, you are the brand, and you should use your personal profile for everything you do, because it's not like Facebook. LinkedIn is a business platform, so your profile can represent you as your business.
No, it makes perfect sense. Now, for example, I just want to give myself as an example. I created basically individual pages. Like, one would be for my podcast, like, for the simple fact that I can put in my bio, podcaster at, and the name of my podcast. And of course,
Correct.
The business page would allows me to put either the iTunes URL in the learn more or listen or whatever the call to action is. Mm-hmm. Would you recommend actually just repurposing the content that you put on your personal profile to just repost it on your page? Does it make any, does it help with the juice, or, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I repurpose content all the time. So if I do a post on LinkedIn, a couple days later, I might take that content and turn it into a video. And a couple days after that, I'll repurpose it and I'll make it into an article. Or I'll start on LinkedIn, or I'll start it as a discussion in a group. So the great thing about LinkedIn is that your content is being seen by all different people. You know, the people who watch your videos are different from the people that read your posts, that are providing content for the discussions in your groups, and are different from the articles that you're writing. So I love repurposing content because it's going to affect different people in a different way. And it also saves you time, saves you energy, so you can actually take your thought and your content and stretch it much further than you would on any other platform.
Love it. No, it makes so much sense. Now, a lot of people that are listening, they'll say, all right, but I'm not in B2B. I'm not into the business to business type of business relationship or industry. For example, we have a lot of health coaches that are listening this podcast, or they're watching whatever the platform they're consuming, and they'll say, I don't get my customers from LinkedIn. Of course, they haven't yet probably implemented what you just mentioned. And I bet that 9 out of 10 people may not do it properly. But what's your thought on people that are selling services or products or online courses or whatever it is, or any kind of products to regular consumers? Should they be focusing on LinkedIn, or is it just mainly for B2B?
100%. I mean, I have built a multiple six-figure business on LinkedIn alone. That's my business. So there are consumers on there. It's not just B2B, it's B2C. There are people on there looking for something. And if you have a service, if you have something to provide for people, you got to talk about it. But you don't sell and tell. You don't want to push your product, your coaching, anything on people. Now, I made a post earlier. I have a private academy, and I just said, who's ready to up-level their business? Here's what my program is. There's 4 days left. The doors are closing. If you're interested, drop a comment below. You can put stuff like that. It's your brand. You can do whatever you want, but you don't want to, if you're a health coach, I see a lot of people in network marketing putting up transformation pictures and product pictures. No, that is not what it's for. If you're building your network the right way, your content should be structured around, what problem am I solving for the people in my network? What do these people need from me? So you want to give away as much free content as possible, because if people are going to consume your free content, then if they get on the phone with you and it's then time for them to invest with you, you have a higher possibility of closing that sale because you've already given them so much. So it's not like they feel like they owe something to you, but you always want to give more. You always want to give free tips. Here's a recipe. And the health coaches that think all of their clients are on Facebook and Instagram, they may be there, but if you want some high ticket clients, you need to be on a platform that supports high ticket prices. So if you're going to just charge a few $100s, then you're going to spend your time on Facebook and Instagram. But if you're going to charge a few $1,000s, which your programs are worth, because you have to step into your power and realize that your programs are worth a lot of money, you need to be on a platform that supports people that can afford those programs. So of course you want to do that on LinkedIn.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I guess to simplify this strategy for our listeners, especially the ones that are in the B2C, like business to consumer, would be for them to just follow what you said at the beginning, where you just name your industries and name the type of, things that you want from people. And essentially, if you are a business owner and you're selling to a consumer, you just have to find those things about your ideal client and put them down on paper. And then of course, from that, search those connections that you want to connect to. So we're getting close to wrapping things up, and we haven't talked about your book, because it is a best-selling book explaining all these strategies. Can you let us know what exactly can people find in the book, and how can somebody get their hands on?
Yeah, it's on Amazon, so you can download the paperback, or you can order the paperback. It's $14.99. The Kindle is $3.99. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free. And it's a compilation of 3 years of hard work and a lot of hours of dedication to my craft. And in the book, there's some case studies, and there are step-by-step processes of what you need to do. Setting up your profile, there's scripts in there, there's key takeaways after each chapter. I go over types of content. So it's a great workbook, quote unquote, so to speak, of someone in the very beginning stages that is really unclear and unsure of what to do on LinkedIn at all. Then they can use this book. It's called the LinkedIn Book for Network Marketing, for SEO purposes, obviously. But I've had people in the nonprofit realm. I've had coaches. I've had accountants, CPAs, lawyers, people in finance, all benefit from this book because you just take your business, take out what I teach, plug your industry into it, and do it as if I were you. It's the same thing. And the book is really helpful. You don't have to figure it out. I've already done that. Just read the book, apply what I teach, and you'll see something happen.
Awesome. No, and I was about to ask you, because I know when I was going through Amazon and looking at the title, I made a note here on my questions to make sure that I ask you, does it apply to any kind of industry? And every time, like you answered that already, but even for people that specifically like read the title and they think, oh, it's for network marketing, it's not for me. Instead of saying that, they should say, how can I apply this to my industry? Yes. And at that point, you wouldn't even pay attention to what kind of industry. Like in that scenario, you may have written the book because you want to maybe attract people in that industry because that's maybe what you're trying to build your business around, or anything, like whatever the reason would be. I think people should just look at, oh, how can I apply that strategy to my type of industry, to my type of clientele? And I think from there, it's so much easier for them to implement. Yeah,
just take out the network and it's the LinkedIn Book for Marketing.
Exactly.
If you want to market your business, read the book. That's it.
Exactly. So a lot of people listening this or watching, whatever their platform of consuming this would be, if they want to get in touch with you and they want to learn more about how you work with clients and how do you provide your services and products, where they can go to actually find out more about you?
Easiest place, my website, www.scottaaron.net. On there, you can order the book. You can schedule a free 15-minute discovery call with me, and you can even download a free infographic on how to set up your profile effectively for the SEO of LinkedIn. So everything is right there.
Awesome. And of course, we'll make sure I'll put all the links in the show notes and description of this interview. Before I let you go, last question that I realized it just came in on my Facebook profile. Somebody was asking me if you can give us some details about LinkedIn Live. And I know it's in beta. Not everybody has access to it. Yep. When can we expect for that to go really public?
2 to 3 months, they're going to be launching globally. And if you've done your due diligence and listened to what I said, and you build a global network, your reach is going to go through the roof, because when you hit that live button, you're going to be impacting the world and not just your local area.
I love it. Thank you so much. And we'll make sure we'll cut this answer and then we'll put it straight to our listener. Awesome, Scott. Again, thank you so much. Really appreciate the time that you and the strategies that you shared with us today. They've been super, super valuable. And what do you want to leave the audience with before I let you go?
Just remember this, and it's simple, but it means a lot to me, and it should mean a lot to you, is that your failures will always open the doors to your successes. And just remember, there are millions of ways to succeed and only one way to fail, and that's to quit. So always keep going no matter what.
Love it. Thank you so much, brother.
You got it. Thank you.
Hey, podcast listeners, I want you to know that I really appreciate your attention and I don't take it lightly. That's why each month we pick a lucky winner and we give away books, mentorship, software, courses, iPads, and other cool stuff. The way to enter is go to clientacquisitionpodcast.com and sign up. You'll get all the details there. Talk to you guys soon. Take care.